customers isn't easy, huh? SnapForce customer relationship software may be just what you need. SnapForce CRM is a software solution that helps you manage everything important about your customers, from sales to marketing to service and support. All of your customer information is right there at your fingertips for easy access. It's time to take control of your business in a snap. Get your free trial at snapforce.com. That's SNAPFORCE.com. Snapforce.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. Silverlungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
In 1814 we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans and we caught the bloody British.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight in Austin, and we have a Brit joining us, Paul Joseph Watson from the UK, as well as Lionel. And I wanted to go back to Lionel about this grand jury indictment, or I should say non-indictment. We just had Judge Andrew Napolitano go on a radio show yesterday and say, I think it's clearly a case for criminally negligent homicide. He said, I think that the use of deadly force, this is not Ferguson, Missouri. This is not somebody wrestling for your gun. This is not where you shoot at or be shot at. He said, this is a choking death of a mentally impaired, grossly obese person whose only crime was selling cigarettes without collecting taxes on them. It doesn't call for deadly force by any stretch of the imagination. But then he says this. He says, the grand jury decision tells me that the district attorney didn't want an indictment. Does that tell you the same thing, Lionel, as a former prosecutor and defense attorney?
No, it doesn't. It could, but it doesn't necessarily tell me that. Let me break this down very, very carefully. You know, you had mentioned something before where you said we're not conspiracy theorists, we're skeptical. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I can be very skeptical about this grand jury no bill, okay? Mm-hmm. But it works like this. A prosecutor delivers a case to the grand jury, and the grand jury historically has been almost like an outlier. This weird tribunal. It's not a part of the criminal justice system, not a part of the judiciary, not the legislature, not really anything. It's kind of like this, ideally set up as this neutral, detached buffer between the magistrate, the crown, and the people. The idea of standing there between the marauding crown and people and saying, no, you have a case, you don't have a case. Well, that might be fine historically. But what it means is that provided there's enough probable cause, and the best definition of probable cause is he probably did it. Probable cause in burdens is here. Reasonable doubt is here. And
you're saying probable cause for people that aren't watching and listening on the radio. You're saying probable cause is much lower than that. Yeah.
Probable cause means he probably did it. It's the easiest burden you can imagine. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem. If I'm a prosecutor, I don't want to bring a case that I think is going to stink at the trial level. I don't want to bring a case where the medical examiner, in this particular case, we believe, because we really haven't heard the Staten Island grand jury minutes, but let's assume the prosecutor or the medical examiner testified that A, this was not a chokehold, a carotid restraint. This was a poorly used neck restraint or something. He did say that the cause of death was compression, but also chest compression, and also asthma, perhaps obesity, perhaps other factors. So the question number one is, imagine that this indictment came, this indictment was issued, and at the trial level, the defense lawyer says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you find beyond a reasonable doubt that this death was caused by this officer? If no, that's not guilty. So just because it works at the grand jury level doesn't mean it's going to work at the trial level. And any prosecutor who merely says, I don't care whether this case has a chance of conviction. My job is to get an indictment, and that's all I care about. That's negligence. Now, the other problem with this is that police officers, by virtue of their position, can do things that citizens can't. They can actually arrest.
Wait a minute, because we're about out of time on this segment.
Sure.
We'll join this when we come back at the bottom of the hour. But we're talking about the grand jury. I think it's important for people to understand, and this is the problem that I have with it, is the fact that this isn't a trial situation where, you've only got the prosecutor addressing the jury. He can tell them anything that he wants to. It's not an adversarial relationship. There isn't a defense attorney present because nobody's been indicted yet. So he can basically tell them whatever he wants to, and no matter how skewed the evidence is, there's nobody to object to that. That's why they've had 162,000 grand juries with only 11 cases where it wasn't returned as an indictment. That's why you have that familiar saying that Judge Napolitano repeated, you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. I want to pick up with that before we go on to the different rules that we have for police. Right after we come back from the break, we're talking to Lionel. He's in New York, a former prosecutor as well as a talk show host and personality there. We also have Paul Joseph Watson joining us from the UK. I'm going to give him a chance to ask Lionel some questions about what's going on with police brutality. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
When I first got online and I seen the price of the X2 and the DNA Force, I was a little hesitant, but I pulled the trigger on it. It has changed my life. I've been taking it for about 24 days now, counting the weight, staying in shape.
InfoWarsLife.com. You've heard the callers of the show.
Several months back, I started taking your Nathan iodine and your super meal. Prior to this, I was barely walking. Now I'm able to function as a human again.
Whether it's Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine, or DNA Force, Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Lung Cleanse, Fluoride Shield, Oxy Powder. I believe that all of these products will blow you away like they've done the thousands of other customers that have visited InfoWarsLife.com.
Dash 2, just amazing what it's able to do to actually detox the body. It's great stuff.
If I'm going to promote something, it's got to be something I personally use and that I believe in. Check out InfoWarsLife.com today and the entire line of groundbreaking, cutting-edge, hardcore products. This December marks 20 years that I've been on the air. Kicking off on Cyber Monday and throughout the entire week, we're offering the biggest sales in the history of Infowars.com, celebrating my 20 years on air. And we do it by bringing our listeners the very best high-quality products. Free shipping store-wide on Pro Gun, Made in America t-shirts. High-quality water filtration systems. But not just free shipping. 30% off Super Male Vitality. 20% off all colloidal silver. Buy 4, get 1 free. With your purchase of 1 bottle of DNA Force, you get 2 free bottles of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine, absolutely free, a $60 value. We're also offering 50% off a year membership at prisonplanet.tv and upping the number of people that can use each membership to 20. 20 years on air, and InfoWars is celebrating it with the biggest sale we've ever had. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. Joining me is Lionel from New York, and of course he is a former prosecutor and defense attorney. I want to get his take on what's going on with the grand jury part of this, because I think a lot of people are looking at this and seeing the government investigating itself in secret, because the grand jury proceedings are secret, and of course finding itself not guilty. We see this happening so many times, and so I think a lot of people would like to see this happen in public. I know I would. It makes me suspicious to see this happening. I look at the statistics, the latest year that the Justice Department kept statistics. It's like 162,000 grand jury cases that they looked at. Only 11 did not return an indictment. So we kind of, I look at this and it's like, yes, I know they use grand juries to test to see how strong a case they've got, but isn't it possible that we've also got a grand jury being used as a beard for a prosecution that the prosecutor doesn't really want to go through with for maybe reasons other than there's not anything to look at here? Before I go back to Lionel and to Paul Joseph Watson, who's with us from the UK, this is Cyber Week Christmas specials going on this week at InfoWars Store. We have free shipping store-wide. We also have our Prison Planet membership, which is regularly $59.99, only now $29.95 a year. That's 7 months for free. That's only $2.50 a month, and you can now share that with 20 other friends. It used to be just 11 that you could share it with. Now that's bumped up to 20 other friends. So that's something that supports our operation. That's where you'll see the news as it happens every weeknight at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, with me, with Leanne McAdoo, with Jakari Jackson, Darren McBreen, Rob Dew are all there with the nightly news, and that's something that really helps to support our operation, to pay for the bandwidth there. That's on sale, 50% off. Well, actually more than 50% off. It's 7 months for free. We also have Silverback in stock, 20% off, free shipping for that. We only have a limited amount of that. It's going to sell out pretty soon, and it takes us a while to get that back in stock. You can also get a Super Prep Pack, Silver Bullet and Survival Shield for $15 off. And if you just get the silver, you can buy 4 of those and get 1 free. So that's over and above the free shipping and the 20% off. Now back to our guests. Lionel, you heard what I had to say about grand juries. I mean, I think that a lot of people really wanted to see the evidence presented in Ferguson as well as here. They wanted to see that it was going to be investigated openly. They wanted to see what evidence there was. In Ferguson, we got a document dump after the fact, and usually we don't even hear anything about what goes on in a grand jury. It's usually kept secret. We don't know in New York even what the charges were that were being investigated as to whether he's going to be indicted. Go ahead.
Well, as far as Ferguson goes, I've got to tell you something. That may be one of the most thorough grand juries ever. That was an anomaly. It's not supposed to be like that. You see, what we're doing is we're in essence saying, how dare Bob McCulloch not be so quick and so railroadish in his grand jury like others? How dare he put on so much evidence? How dare he be so thorough in putting on evidence which people call exculpatory? How dare he do that? Come on, you're supposed to run this thing through and indict that ham sandwich, which the great jurist Saul Walkler coined in 1985. No, what happens is, I wish more cases were thorough. It's the opposite.
Yeah, he'd never done that in 28 years. Why do you think that he never did that in 28 years? Did he give the other people that he went through the grand jury process, did he give them a fair trial if he only gives the cop a full investigation? And of course, he's presenting evidence that there's, I guess a lot of people, as I look at some of the evidence that's come out of there, and as I look at some of the transcripts, and there was over 1,000 pages. So people are just now starting to get through that. Looks to me like there was a lot of coaching, a lot of protection. It looks to me like Darren Wilson wasn't on trial. Michael Brown was on trial in that grand jury.
Let me just clarify something. I'm not I'm not defending this. I'm trying to explain a system that I have spent most of my adult life trying to figure out, and with all, certainly not directed to you, but there are a lot of armchair instant experts who say, boy, this grand jury thing's screwed up. I'm thinking, where the hell have you been? Where have you been? This whole thing is, people have screamed about this for the longest time. But let me ask you this question. Let's assume you're a grand juror, because I want to hear from them ultimately. I want to hear, forget McCullough. I want to hear from somebody from St. Louis or from Staten